Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to the channel. Today we have a very important topic. We are talking about economic development of countries like Syria that have gone through enormous set of challenges, wars, destructions. And we are looking at some of the ideas that can help us guide these countries in the right way. What they could think about, some of the guiding principles and a couple of very simple ideas that they could implement very quickly to have some movement in their economy. Today we are looking at Syria, but this could be advice for any other country that recently went through similar situation, whether it's Afghanistan or Lebanon, where there's all kinds of things happening, or maybe Bangladesh. We know what happened there. Country like Bosnia, many countries, future Palestine, inshallah. Many of these countries, they have a similar types of problem, and perhaps we could look at similar type of solutions. I myself, born in Sarajevo in Bosnia, I went through the war, destruction, economic recoveries, and I lived through all of that. And even though currently I am living in Australia, I try to travel around the world to seek examples that specifically Muslim countries could follow when it comes to rebuilding their economy. I also recently made a documentary about Turkiye's last 20 years of their economic development and what we could learn from that. So this video will look at some of the examples from Bosnia, from Turkey, from our Islamic history, and will offer few advices for our dear people of Syria and the rest of the Muslim Ummah, rest of the countries who are trying to rebuild their society and their economy. So first off, let's start with Islamic idea when it comes to wealth, economy, and the market. We know that one of the aims or maqasid of Sharia is protection of the wealth. Now, why would you protect something unless that something is very important? In our history, we know our Prophet ﷺ had to leave Mecca because of economic boycott and sanctions that were placed on him and his companions. He had to migrate to Medina and then rebuild the market and the state. Market became a source of strength for the new young state. In Medina, government created conditions for the thriving economic opportunities, and entrepreneurs like Abdurrahman ibn Auf, they made sure that that economy, that marketplace is the place that is solving problems of the community, that is providing employment and creating surplus so that we can help those who cannot help themselves. And that is what is being protected when we say Islam wants to protect wealth. It wants to protect wealth or economic system at a high level, but also at transactional level to ensure that everything is done correctly and in the fair way. For this reason, we see the Prophet ﷺ and his companion establish certain rules in the market, that there is no cheating, no deception. And so the Prophet ﷺ himself would go sometimes to the market and would inspect what is being done. And if he would find that anything unethical or problematic was happening, he would immediately call it out, instruct the sellers, and tell them, don't deceive us. Whoever deceives us is not from us. Now, what is important in this market of Medina is that people were free. The essence of the market was that people are free to engage. Sometimes there is a temptation when things don't go well, when market cannot provide solutions or economy goes a little bit bad and there is a shortage of something or the prices go up. Normal market fluctuation, that government starts putting themselves over the market, trying to put its hand, push the price up or down, or regulate something in the best maybe intention. But we see the Prophet ﷺ would stay away from these impulses to try to regulate these normal market activities. In fact, the government should just put the rules to preserve fair play, that there is no deception, cheating, something bad happening, some sort of a manipulation, somebody who's coming to harm people or creating economic uncertainty that could harm participants. But other than that, people in the market should be free to negotiate, set their prices, engage as they wish. And whether price go up or down, these are normal signals in the market that drive markets to better place and give a signal to participants what to do next. Now, let me give you one very simple idea before I go to actual Syria, advice for the people and all the other Muslim countries who might want to maybe listen to this advice. When I was recently in Bosnia, I was traveling and I came across this little town that I heard became the place with most millionaires in Bosnia. It's town Živince. And as I was traveling, I met one of my friends there, and I asked him, why is it that suddenly I'm hearing all of these good stories coming out of this place? And he said, look, situation is very simple. The reason why this little town is now place of most millionaires is because our local government, all of the parties decided to cooperate to make it business-friendly city. So when you go to start your business, whether it's regulations, red tape, anything that is bureaucracy, unnecessary, it's all out. So you can quickly register business with no problem and you can start doing your business. With all of these business-friendly policies that they communicated and they are driving and incentivizing, they were able to attract a lot of people, a lot of investment, and even people who left that place after the war or during the war are coming back. They are investing, building factories, opening firms, businesses, and so on. And one interesting thing my friend told me is that the number of young people marrying there is increasing. I asked him, what does that mean? He said that more and more younger and younger people getting married symbolizes basically that they have confidence in what is economically happening. They have more certainty in their employment, future, and general well-being of the place. Then I remember, I told my friend, you know what you should do? You should go to Turkiye and immediately connect yourself with the city of Kayseri, because the city of Kayseri is maybe decades ahead of you. They've been doing these industrial zones, techno parks, incentivizing business and production for decades. In fact, entrepreneurial culture there is so strong that people, when they come together, one of my friends in Kayseri, Turkey, told me, and Kayseri is entrepreneurial center of Turkey, he told me that people call each other their shares, as in business shares. When 5 people come together for a dinner, they form a company. That's how strong entrepreneurship is there. And they have small factories, they have big factories, start pre-production, what they call small size product or prototypes, and then they manufacture them in big factories and so on. And I told him, you should immediately take a group of people and visit that city to see how to go to the next level of entrepreneurship and developing your capabilities. And that point brings me to Turkey. Turkey, I believe, offers to us a very important example that most of Muslim countries should follow when it comes to their economic development. As I mentioned, I was recently there and I made a documentary film. It's available on YouTube, Turkey's Economy, Untold Story. It is about last 20 years of economic development under the President Erdogan. Most of people look at Turkey, they are talking only about currency devaluation, inflation, and a few problems like that. They ignore the most of other key indicators. In the time that we live, when producing things is more getting difficult and expensive, we need to think about economy. What can you do for your people? What can you produce? And Turkey has mastered this side of economy. They are producing everything, almost everything that they are consuming. They are not dependent on other countries. In fact, all of their economic policies serve their economy and growth. So whether it's through the COVID that they didn't shut down, or monetary policies when all the world went one way, they went opposite way. All of that was to serve their economy. So over the last 20 years, they specifically focused on 4 pillars. First strategic pillar was building their infrastructure. This is your road, your bridges, your ports, energy grids, and so on. Then they built their industrial base. ability to produce things. Currently in Turkey, they are producing almost everything that they need, from defense to any other item. Next thing, they focused on policies, strategic policies that are again supporting first two pillars, which is building the strong infrastructure and strong industrial base. And the fourth pillar was energy independence, whether it's in nuclear, oil and gas. All of this again to support their economy, because energy is key component and the cost in production. So with these four pillars of their economic growth, they are able to produce things that they need and the world and the region around them needs, and infrastructure to move these everywhere. And before we go to Syria, let's remember what the most of the other countries in the regions are doing. They are, as a result of COVID and inflation, they are taking more and more loans, increasing their interest rates. And what that does is basically destroying their economy, bringing recession, destroying the jobs, and is making them depending on those other countries from whom they now buy produce and products. So think about this. We have implemented policies, economic policies, where we are increasing interest rates to solve the problem, but that problem is only short-term solution, which means that we borrow money to buy from other countries who are producing that, not to produce ourselves. Who does that economic program benefit? Rich countries, countries that are already producing, who are selling to our countries. So our countries, even in halal economy, even in the normal things that we are consuming, are focused on the demand side, on consumerism. And all of the loans and policies are just catering this side of equation, where leadership economy, strategic economy should be focused on supply side of economy. How do I become independent, self-sufficient, produce what I consume? Now, there are many things we could say for advice for Syrian people and our people in general, but some of the core guiding principles, and this could be a whole seminar, academic papers, theories, and so on. But you know, the best way when we think about the economy is to think about, does this make sense? What am I producing? What can I do in this economy as a country, as a state? Think about it. Can I feed my people? Can I produce things that I need for healthcare, for defense? If I cannot do these things, then I don't have economy. Economy is not just temporarily solving the solution, but in the long run. Now, how do you do that? In these countries that are devastated with the past that they have, it is very important to start with the things that will make country business friendly, that will attract people to come back, people to invest. It's about trust, confidence. And number one thing that I think when I looking at any country is that, does it have predictable and independent legal system? If I go on a court, if I have a business dispute, or if I invest money and there is somebody very famous, important, will they get their way? Or will I have a court that can protect my investments? That's very important for any country. Are there clear regulations, what I can do, what I cannot do? You know, we don't want a red tape, we don't want unnecessary bureaucracy. Sometimes in many of these countries you need 10 people just to get a driver's license, because bureaucracy for the sake of bureaucracy is employing more unnecessarily just so that the people can be quiet on minimum wage. We don't need that. You want to simplify business registration and running of the business. And all of this so that you make it easy to start and run your business and get investment with the certainty of environment, regulatory and legally around you. Here are a few things that I would think in next few years would be very important for a country like Syria to do. So for example, maybe you cannot have immediately everything properly done in the entire country, needs to be maybe managed in small bite size. But you could create certain economic zones. Start with economic zones, for example, in the major cities like Damascus, but also those border cities next to Turkey. So what you want to do with these border cities is to synergize with Turkey's market, their infrastructure, and the proximity that allows you to export or get things. And for those specific economic zones, you could really create its own system of governance that would regulate and give confidence to businesses and investors. And you could provide businesses that invest there with certain tax incentives. For example, if the business comes, they build a factory, they create employment, they start producing, you could give them zero corporate tax for 5 to 10 years. You could remove import duties on machineries, on anything that is important for the development. The next big thing that I said Turkey has done very well is investing in infrastructure. This is very important, but also very expensive. At this moment of country going through this difficult period, there is no much money, but there is huge needs. And infrastructure development is very expensive. We are talking about roads, power grids, port, essential services, and so on. One way is that this can be structured also to meet Islamic financing compliance is to engage in certain partnership modes of financing. Most of us have heard these PPP, where you have public-private partnership. So generally how this works is that you will have private sector that is providing finance and could operate, for example, this infrastructure. Government could come and give land or something like that. Now the revenue from these projects, whether it's roads or ports, etc., could be through tolls, user fees, or some kind of a lease agreements. Good example of this is Istanbul Airport. This is also a type of project like this. It's called BuildOperate Transfer, where you had international and local funders, where it was built by private consortium of firms investing. They were given airport to operate for 25 years, and during that 25 years they will generate profit, and then after that it will be transferred to the government, and also government would have some oversight. Look at this. Number one, government didn't put any money. You provide jobs, you provide huge economic benefits for the rest of the country, and then at the end it still can end up in the hands of the government. In addition to this infrastructure and special economic zone, you then focus on entrepreneurship. You want around these zones to start building startup hubs, incubators, anything that will really incentivize entrepreneurship, people solving some problems, foster innovation, foster better understanding, learning, attract investments. And you might consider for those startup and small to medium enterprises tax relief, any type of incentives that will encourage these kinds of activities. Amongst those industries that are very important for any country, but particularly in Syria, is agriculture, modernizing farming, partnering with firms in Turkey. You know, Turkey is a great in this regard. They are one of the top 10 producers of food. When I was there in the winter, you could find fresh food, fruit, produce, greens, red, everything from the farm, tomatoes, cucumbers. Why? Because they are growing food constantly, several times throughout the year. So partnering with producers there could help businesses create those rural jobs, opportunities for export, and also increase crop yields. The core here is to start, create a small zone that encourage entrepreneurship, that create a model for the rest of the country that can be scaled up, where you have a proper governance, where you have a rule of law, where investments are secured, people have understanding what is happening, jobs are created, and so on. I hope these couple of ideas could serve as a beginning of the conversation and what our countries might need in order to start on their journey for economic development and recovery. I would love to hear your comments. What would you suggest to these countries to do so that they can also continue to develop their economy and offer these opportunities for their population? Let me know in the comments. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for spending time to watch this video. If you would like to learn more about finance and economy from Islamic perspective, head to our new platform, Muslim Money Matters, where we go in much greater details regarding the content. Until next time, my name is Almi Cholan. Assalamu alaikum.